All those crossword puzzles she's doing every day.
Yeah,
she knew everybody's birthday.
She did. Even if they're like 3, 4 generations or cousins away from us, she knew everybody. I don't know how she remembered everybody.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the remarkable thing that Vicky touched on is Grandma was kind of behind the scenes. Like Grandpa was such a loud and present personality, and Grandma was always just kind of the quiet, reserved person in the background, always observing and always paying attention. And I think that it's true. I don't think I realized quite how much she was paying attention until we went down to visit when she was in Tennessee, and spending time with her one-on-one without anyone else around was really kind of eye-opening. And she would be like, okay, so so-and-so from so-and-so has a cousin whose daughter's nephew girlfriend is going to school in Maine, and so there's a chance that like you might see them if you were to drive down to this place. I'd be like, Grandma, I have no idea who these people are. She'd be like, well, I mean, it was so-and-so's cousin's relative's sister's friend who had a dog at one point in time, and that dog would run over to the neighbor's yard, and then we met them this way. You'd be like, Grandma, I have no idea who these people are. And so it was kind of remarkable how much she was into both like hot goss, like on the low key. She knew everything about everybody, kind of far and wide, which is pretty remarkable to me for like how quiet and reserved she was. But she must have been, I mean, Vicky, maybe you know, like on the background, just like picking up on all these things, paying attention, like cueing in, maybe like lurking on Facebook, seeing what everybody was up to. But it really kind of amazed me how much she knew about our family and our extended family. And I was keeping track of all that. And again, not super interesting to me because, you know, you're meeting strangers to a certain extent, so you're like, well, how much am I interested in that? But she knew, so I'm now like, who knows about me out there? Grandma's like hot goss, just on the background being like, well, I have this granddaughter who lives in Maine too, so I don't know, maybe there's some random like third-tier relatives looking for us in some way. So maybe we can all be surprised by that at some point in the future. We'll just get dropped in by somebody. You know.
One thing I noticed about her is she would never call anybody. If she called somebody, there was something going on. She always let you call her.
Yes. I think the other thing is just over the years being amazed and looking back in hindsight at like how many romance novels she read, and like the extensive collection of romance novels that she had. And so now
every one still?
What's that?
Did she have every one still?
Probably, yeah.
She gave them to the Humane Society, like so they could
sell them in their store. But yeah, I think in hindsight, just reflecting on like how many books she read, and how much she had in her shelves. And so now reflecting back now on my reading habits and being like, oh yeah, Grandma was like digesting things. Yeah, so Grandma was like the subtle support network that you didn't really hear a lot from, but you always knew was there. And again, she managed not only all of the kids, but Grandpa, which is like a blessing in itself.
Toughest one of all.
Biggest kid.
Yeah. And so as a grandchild in her household, you spent a lot of time with Grandpa at weird hours when Grandpa was like up and ready to do something, and you realize in hindsight that was also Grandma being like, get out of this house.
Yes.
And so having kids in the house, little kids in the house that were game for anything, was like a great way to get Grandpa out of her hair for a while too, I think, and keep him busy, which is another blessing because we spent so much time just tromping around, looking at every like historic marker on the side of the road, down every like back road you could imagine in New Mexico, looking for something. You never really knew what you were looking
Indian
for.
battlegrounds, and
but we were always looking for something.
So
yeah.
Picked up.
Yeah.
So
many.
But then there was Grandma, just reliable in the background. Anyway, she was great.
Yeah, she always stayed in the background until you got out a deck of cards or a game.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, she was
Mandy and Jackie figured that
Oh,
out
yeah.
pretty
She
young.
cheats.
that you
She
could-
cheats.
You could draw her out with games. She loved to play games. And she wouldn't let the kids win either. They
One
had to
time she
earn the
told me
win.
something, and it's always stuck in my mind. Like it was I love remembered it. But they were mom and dad were having an argument over something.
Yeah.
And I was in my room, and when it was all over, when I came out and asked her, what was that all about? And this was her answer. People who think they know it all really annoy those of us who do.
She really was just so smart.
Yeah, she was very smart. Yeah, she, I think my theory is why she was so interested in family history, because we connected on that and we loved it. We'd spend hours talking about family history and stuff, and I think it was because she didn't have a family growing up, and when she did have a family, she wanted to know them, all of them, and keep track, and she wanted other people to know them. Like, she would tell me things about their personality and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, and she was very interested, and she always would say, you know, I don't know if I'm a very good mother, because everything I learned was from your dad's mother, who was a good mother, and TV. So, or watching the neighbors.
Yeah.
But I didn't have a mother, so I'm winging it. So, but she was a very good mother.
One of the things that, this is such a small, it doesn't matter, but I always remember when Grandpa and Huey would come to visit, I was always very excited, but one of the things I remember is that blue muumuu that she would wear every morning. Like, I think we all know this.
Yeah.
Like, I don't
She
even think it
loved
ever
that.
changed. Had the little flower or the big flowers on it.
Yeah.
And that
Picture it.
always reminds me of Huey. And now I love those types of muumuus, and I'm like, I want to wear those too. she was an inspiration.
I'll look through and see if I can find it.
Yeah, seriously. No, it always reminds me of her. It makes me so happy.
It's so surprising to know that she was from an orphanage.
Yeah.
Like, never knew.
Really? Oh, wow. Yeah, I'll tell you all the stories.
We
she
never
used
knew
to
until we
tell.
went and visited that.
I'm glad she had a good life there too. To hear so many bad stories, it's not
Oh, I
always
know.
like that.
No, she thinks we should go back to that, because she said there was a lot of oversight, you know, people.
Yeah, that was a good way for
abuse
things to
and-
be.
Yeah, and her mother actually didn't pass away until she was a teenager, but she couldn't feed them, so they were taken away, and so that was kind of the only bad thing she said, was that she couldn't understand why she had a mom and she was there, you know,
Yeah,
and the
okay.
other kids, you know, were with mom. So the three of the children were not raised by the mother, but 3 were.
Oh wow.
But she
Okay.
didn't have enough money, and she was sick, and so,
Bummer.
yeah,
So she never even saw her mother when she was in there?
well, her mom, that was another thing she kind of felt bad about, was her mom would come to visit her, like, maybe every year, or
Yeah.
sometimes twice a year, but my mom didn't really know her anymore, and so.
Yeah, as a stranger coming.
Yeah,
She
the
said this
strange-
woman would come visit me.
And then
That didn't mean anything.
Yeah.
Well, then all the kids would say, "What? Why are you here? You have a mother?" And then she'd have to explain, like, "Oh, well, yeah." And she didn't understand it because she was too small. But she said now that she is a mother, she's like, "Well, I should have hugged her and let her kiss me," but they just didn't. You know, her and her little brother were just like, "Who is this person?"
Wow.
And she did start telling stories we had never heard when she was older. Like she said, "I guess I never told you how I got out of the orphanage." And I was like, "No, you never." I
It wasn't
figured you
sheets tied
aged
together,
out."
right? You get older, you're 18 and
Yeah.
you're done, right?
But she got
She
out
got out
earlier.
Before that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I never really asked why, because I just thought that she just was old enough to
Yeah,
decide.
well, eventually you're too old, and
Right.
so maybe
Yeah.
it probably depends on the state and a whole bunch of
Well,
stuff.
She was what, 16 or 17 when she
I
died?
think she was 15, but you were supposed to stay till you were 18. But what happened is her older brother George was a truck driver, and he would come see her quite often. Anytime he was going through there, he would stop and see her and Cletus. Well, when her mother was actually dying, he said, "Do you want to go see Mom before she dies?" And Louie said yes, but she knew full well that if she did, she could never come back. And Cletus decided, no, I don't want to leave. And so Louie decided to leave, and she went with George back to Pottsville. And she said it was not a welcome that she. There was no welcome. They were just like, "What? What are you doing here?" then she went to live with Jane. When Jane married Ralph, she went to live with Jane. But yeah, and then her mother did pass away at that time. But Cletus loved it there, and he didn't want to leave. And Clea loved it there. She's like, now that I'm older, I'm like, why did I do that? Yeah, but we had never heard that story. She had never told us how she actually left. She said it wasn't a pleasant experience because I was like, well, that wasn't a good move. And then George and I were in big trouble. And yeah. So anyway, so.
I feel like we didn't hear a lot of those stories because it was hard to get a word in edgewise.
Right.
Yeah.
She kind of opened up after he died. I mean, she became very talkative after he died. I mean, she didn't say
It's
a
hard
word.
to get a word in
Yeah,
edgewise.
you couldn't. Yeah.
Well, at the cabin, he was pretty quiet. He'd be going through his pictures, and he and I would chat a lot. And we always connected over, well, Tim Allen. And yeah, honest to God, I never saw that show until she turned me onto it, and then we'd sit there and laugh and laugh. But yeah, our personalities were totally opposite, but we always had a lot to talk about, like sewing and needlepoint, politics, and everything. Yeah, and religion. We talked about that a lot because I was like her only child that really pursued that heavily, and she loved to talk about that and different things that she knew, and so yeah, we just connected that way over those in history. We both love family history, any kind of history.
No, it's good that you got the chance.
Yeah, I mean, she's the one that told me, right across is the Lutheran pastor that baptized your father and married that.
I've been up here a bunch of times. I didn't know that part of it.
Yeah, he was a Lutheran pastor here in Crown Point.
Was anybody else turning around looking for a person though?
When she first said it, I said, I didn't recognize that.
Yeah.
You gotta be old. Where is it?
You gotta be real.
Everybody thought it was Nicole's mama.
Yeah. So yeah, it was that Pastor Burnett.
Yeah, we were all turned around looking at her.
It's a nice spot.
Yeah, you were the only one
But yeah,
standing
Leah,
back
I'll
there,
tell
so
you
that's
some
why
more
we were all
orphanage
turned around
stories.
looking at you earlier.
They were pretty fun. She had some fun stories.
She dove into a little bit, but
Yeah.
not too deep. But
She always loved pretzels her whole life, and she.
He came all the way up this way.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for coming.
I've never been up here before, you know what I mean? And so, yeah.
Are you out here long enough to see anything?
I'll be here until tomorrow, but I came up on technically Thursday. So,
and Will was nice enough
Did
to
anybody
give us
tell you where
a
he
Yeah,
was?
shout out.
uh,
She
somewhere
would
over
be
here?
over with Dawn.
in front of Dawn, right?
Yeah, in front of Dawn.
Yeah.
I
That's
think,
what Vicky was saying, so.
well, dirt go. How come whenever you dig a hole, there's
Yeah.
never enough
Right.
dirt to fill a hole?
Yeah.
Even after you put
That we
something
put
in
a big urn in there.
I know. It just seems like it.